So as promised, time to hear from someone who knows a thing or two about dreams. Ian Wallace is a dream psychologist. I spoke to him earlier this morning and asked if there's a relationship between what we think about when we're awake and our dreams.
There's a little bit of a relationship, Stuart. What we actually do when we dream, our dreams are the language of our unconscious. So even as you and I are speaking just now, we're absorbing lots of information unconsciously from round about us. And what we do in our dreams is we actually start to process that information and trying to make meaning out of it.
When we try and make meaning out of things, are they obvious necessarily? Yesterday I talked to such and they were in my dream. Seems a fairly obvious link. Are some of them a bit more disguised?
Yeah, it's very easy to make that link straight away there, but we have to remember that what a dream is, it's a language really. So because it's a language, then we just have to use it in a different way. It's a language of images and pictures and symbols. So something in a dream that might seem quite obvious to us, then, for example, if we dream about a tiger, then a tiger in real life, if we encountered one in the street, would be quite scary. But what it means in a dream is that we have to be more independent and a bit more autonomous in waking life. So the symbol can mean something quite different in the dream.
How do you know that? How do you know that a tiger, big stripy cat, means taking control and being a bit more autonomous?
That's a really good question, Stuart. So I guess the main reason I know that is that I've been doing this for over 30 years now, and in that time I've analysed getting on for 140,000 dreams. So I'm quite happy working with that dream language. But we also think what a tiger actually represents to us. It's something that's quite fierce, it's quite solitary, it's very independent, and it guards that independence very jealously. So the quality of whatever we dream about is the thing that we should really be exploring rather than just the thing itself.
You don't just analyse dreams, you write books as well. Your new one, The Top 100 Dreams, the dreams that we all have and what they really mean. One of the things that fascinates me about this is when you say the dreams that we all have, you've gone around the world analysing dreams and found that someone in Stoke is having similar kinds of dreams or themes come through from here to someone in the Sahara, to someone in Australia, America. We're all dreaming about the same things. That's
absolutely right, Stuart. It's a really amazing thing. And it seems quite uncanny, but what we have to remember is that dreams don't actually happen to us, we actually happen to dreams. So we create our dreams, and because we're all human beings with kind of similar behaviour patterns, then we tend to create the same stories when we sleep at night.
OK. Let's have a look at some of the stories we create. We heard Paula and me from the other day, just a few moments ago. Paula keeps dreaming about me in compromising positions. Dreams about colleagues doing things. Is that normal?
Yes, it is, Stuart. This is actually
thank goodness for that.
The 52nd most common dream that people have. And when we dream about someone else, it's very easy to make that connection thinking, yeah, it's actually that person. But when we dream about someone else, we're actually dreaming about some aspect of our own character, and we're just using that other person to represent it. So there's some quality or characteristic that you have, and it's probably a professional quality that Paula really admires, and it might be because you're really good at presenting, you're very good at articulating, you're maybe very decisive, and she has that talent as well, but she's finding it difficult to express sometimes. So when we dream of being intimately aware of someone in a quite inappropriate way, it shows that we're becoming more intimately aware of one of our own talents, and especially if it's something quite naughty and risky, because we think of the word create and the word procreate, they come from the same root. So if we're doing that, it's something very creative that Paula would like to do, and it's reflected in some quality that you possess, Stuart.
OK, let's have a look at some more. I'm relieved that it's not as literal as it appears on that one. Thank you for that.
No, you're safe there. Yes.
Jane in Berry Hill says, I have a dream several times where someone's in a room and I cannot get out of the room, and the person, I can't see their face, but I can't escape from them either.
So I've just said when we dream about someone else, then we're actually dreaming about some part of ourselves. And any time we dream about a room, then we're dreaming about some part of our own identity. The classic dream symbol is the house. Houses have insides and outsides, and so do we. So there's some aspect of Jane's own character that she'd like to leave behind. Maybe she feels she spends far too much time looking after other people, or she might like to give up smoking or something like that. There's something that she does and she's fed up doing, and she'd like to move on from it, but she's not quite sure how to do that, and that's why she feels a wee bit trapped.
I just think this is fascinating. Ian Wallace with us on BBC Radio Stoke. Ian Wallace has been talking to me. He's the man behind, well, he describes himself as a dream psychologist. For 30 years, he's been looking at dreams, analysing dreams, and has found certain themes around the world keep cropping up. I've been talking to Ian about some of the themes that have come across from people who've texted in, who've got in touch via our Facebook page as well. And certain things have kept cropping up. Being naked, lots of people in the office have said they dream of things and that happens to them.
Yeah, this is the fourth most common dream that people have, Stuart, and it's quite amazing. So when we think about being naked, we have to think about how we usually cover up that nakedness. So clothes are how we present ourselves to the rest of the world. And when we dream about being naked, we're feeling exposed and vulnerable in some way in waking life. And the really interesting thing about this dream is usually that no one cares in the dream that you're naked. So everyone else in waking life is actually really confident in you, even though you're feeling a bit vulnerable and exposed inside. And this was the dream that Kate Middleton was having just before she got married. She kept dreaming again and again that she was standing at the altar completely naked, and that was just showing an anxiety that she had, that she felt a bit vulnerable and exposed, being the centre of so much media attention.
Which is hardly surprising, considering. So that's about vulnerability. What about this from Tracy? Strangest dream I've had. I was drowning in a sea of jelly beans and I couldn't touch the bottom. She goes on to say, I was feeling a bit out of depth in my new job and got made redundant a few months after.
So whenever we dream about water, and one of the really interesting things about dreams, Stuart, is that we hear this in our language all the time. So we hear people saying, I'm at a low ebb, I'm trying to keep my head above water, I'm engulfed by my emotions. So when Tracy's drowning, then she's feeling that it's quite hard to get on top of things and keep her head above water. And all these jelly beans are usually things that have to be done, they're things that have to be processed. So she's got lots and lots and lots of little tasks that she's trying to process, but it's just getting on top of her, and she feels like she's sinking down underneath it. And then that's reflected in her waking life, where she feels slightly out of depth in her new job.
Lots of the things we've talked about here are sort of a bit negative. Can we have positive dreams as well? Well,
they're all really positive, and usually people think that dreams are really bad things and they're full of bad omens and bad stuff's going to happen. But in Tracy's dream, the fact that she's just being overwhelmed by all these little tasks, then to look at that positively is thinking, right, so that's all kind of busy activity, but what would be real meaningful action for Tracy? What could she do in her life that would be really full of meaning for her and make her really happy in her job? So dreams always draw our attention to things that we can expand and explore to make our waking life more fulfilling.
So should we act on them then?
Yeah, absolutely, Stuart. So many people just ignore their dreams, and one of the things that happens when we ignore our dreams is because we are making them, then we're trying to get our own attention, so we start turning up the volume and vividness on our dreams, and they get a bit scary, and that's how nightmares start to be generated.
Is there anything, because there'll be people listening this morning who maybe have nightmares, is there anything they can do in their waking day to try and stop that happening?
One of the things they can do is just to pick up on what the meaning of the dream is and then apply that in their waking life. But the absolutely best way to deal with a nightmare is quite scary to do, but it's so effective. And that's actually in the nightmare. Usually when you're having the nightmare, you're starting to become a bit more aware and conscious of what's happening in your dream. So whatever is scaring you in the dream, if you can just turn around in the dream and ask it who it is and what it needs, it'll tell you, and it's usually something really obvious in waking life, and just by doing that you get that message that you can apply it in waking life and the nightmare will be resolved.
Incredible. So to go back to the tiger that you mentioned earlier on then, if you ask the tiger who it is and what it is, it won't be a tiger at all, but it will be something that we can relate to.
Yeah, if you ask the tiger who it is, it will probably say in a big growly voice, I'm you, I need more independence in my waking life, could you please do this?
Fascinating. Amazing. What about this one then? I dream that the world is huge and I'm tiny. It's like I'm in Lilliput. What does that mean?
When we dream about the world, we're dreaming about all the possibilities that we have in our waking life, and dreaming that we are tiny is just showing the scale of possibilities for us. But it also shows that the dreamer feels a little bit powerless and is not quite sure what to do, and is not quite sure how to take advantage of this vast amount of possibilities there. So in the dream, they can think about things like how can they make themselves bigger, how can they grow a little bit, how can they actually move through this world and start to take full advantage of all the possibilities in there.
This is a scary one. I mentioned it in the office earlier, and 3 people around the table went, "Oh, I've had that dream, I've had that dream. I dreamt someone shot me, and it hurt. I was dying and woke up in a real panic." What does that mean?
When we dream about being shot, Stuart, what happens there is that we use guns and knives as a symbol of someone having power over us. So usually when we're being shot, it's very often in a professional environment, and we feel that someone is trying to exert some power over us unfairly in some way, and it's usually something where we feel quite wounded by their actions.
Your top 3, then. This is dreams from around the world, isn't it, that you've compiled here?
Yes.
Number 3 was mentioned to me by a couple of friends before we even opened the book on this. Unable to find a toilet.
Yeah, this is such a common dream, and it's really funny because so many people come up to me and say, "I bet you've never had this dream before, it's really weird, I keep dreaming that I can't find a toilet." But it's the 3rd most common dream that people have. So we think of the expression, we've been talking a little bit about dream language, we have this expression, we need the toilet, we need to go to the toilet. And this dream is all about expressing our needs. So if we can't express our needs in waking life, then we will dream that we can't find a toilet, and we can't actually release those needs to actually do something really meaningful for ourselves.
Number 2, I've had this one many times, teeth falling out.
Teeth falling out, there are so many old wives' tales about this. If you dream your teeth are going to fall out, it means that someone's going to die, or someone in the corner shop's going to give you short change next Tuesday. What it actually means is the only time in waking life when we all experience our teeth falling out is when we're children, when our deciduous teeth fall out. And usually at that time we're trying to negotiate power structures, we're trying to impress people. And the same thing happens in waking life when we're adults. So our teeth represent power, they're how we assert ourselves, they're how we show we're happy. So if our teeth are falling out, it just shows that our confidence is crumbling a little bit in waking life, and we just need to act more confidently.
And number 1, I would imagine pretty much everyone listening to Radio Stoke this morning's had this, being chased.
It's just the number 1 most common dream that everyone has, and the person who's doing the chasing, or the thing, or the monster, or the gang, is always the dreamer. We have this word again, we have this word pursuit in waking life. So a pursuit is something we're passionately interested in. We all have pursuits that we really love doing, but pursuit always means chasing. So when we dream of being pursued, there's some pursuit in waking life that we really want to engage with a lot more, but we're just being a little bit frustrated in how we actually do that.
Ian, it's a fascinating area, and I wonder you've dedicated 30 years to it. It's wonderful talking to you this morning. Thanks very much.